Emulation is truly amazing. I mean, these softwares allow you to play any game on their respective systems for free, and you don't have to pay inhumane prices just to play the certain games that you want to play. Because we all know retro game prices right now are pretty awful for a lot of games. But most importantly, emulation is just a great preservation tool. It's going to play a key role into preserving video games going forward. But something about emulation to me always just felt off. I just never felt like I could get accustomed to emulation, you know? Whether it is computer software emulation or official emulation with something like Nintendo Switch Online, I can never feel at home with it. With that being said, I have used emulators quite a bit throughout the years, and most of them have served me pretty well. But what if I told you that you can play almost any game on any respective video game system for free on their original hardware? Welcome to the world of flash carts, optical disc emulators, and console modding. Now, what is all of this stuff? Well, you probably at least know what console modding is, but all of these give you the benefit of playing any game on their respective systems for free. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you a couple of ways I've been able to play tons of games on some of my systems, starting with flash carts. Here we have the Mega EverDrive, a flash cart for the Sega Genesis, this specifically being the X3 version, and it is quite good. While not being as good as the superior Mega EverDrive Pro version that can play Sega CD games, it is still quite good and a hell of a lot cheaper. Most of the devices shown in this video use some sort of SD card, and the EverDrive here uses the micro SD card to load its games. My only problem with it is that if you're playing a game that has a save feature, you have to press the restart button for it to save. This is quite annoying, as you know, you're probably more used to using the power switch to turn off the console. But if you turn off your game that has a save feature with the power switch, the game will not save. Also, you have to enter a code to play Mega Drive games because a North American Genesis still can't accept like the different region games. Other than that, this is a wonderful device. I've been able to play some great games that go for insane prices like Musha and Battle Mania 2. And you can also play ROM hacks on this. Sonic 3 Complete is one I always wanted to play on real hardware, but the sky is truly the limit. EverDrive also makes tons of other flash cards for multiple different consoles, so definitely check that out if you are interested. Here we have the R4 card for the DS. These are very cheaply made flash cards for the DS that you can find a ton of on Amazon for pretty inexpensive prices. It played the games I've thrown at it flawlessly, and I really didn't want to mod my DSi XL because I'd prefer not to mess with that, as I didn't want to risk bricking the system unless it was like my only option. So the R4 card was truly perfect for me. Now, what about optical disc emulators? Not to be confused with software emulators, optical disc emulators emulate the disk drive of a specific console by loading the games on an SD card, much like flash cards. More often than not, with some outliers, you're gonna have to remove the disk drive in order to use the ODE, but in my opinion, this is honestly worth it because these disk drives are gonna die sooner than later, so you might as well replace it. My Dreamcast, in fact, started to have disk reading problems, so what I decided to do was to buy a GD-EMU for my Dreamcast. The GD-EMU is one of the best ODEs to get because of how damn expensive Dreamcast games are. The only option of getting these are from these sort of sketchy clones from AliExpress or eBay, as the guy who made these doesn't sell them officially anymore. I got mine on AliExpress and it works just fine so far, and the installation process is pretty easy. Just follow a tutorial and you will be fine. These are perfect if you had a faulty laser like I had, but now I don't know what to do with this damn laser and it just sits on my shelf. But it's totally worth it because you can play so many expensive Dreamcast games. I always wanted to play Bangai O for the Dreamcast, and well, I can finally play it without having to spend wild prices. Here we have the GC loader for the GameCube. It's very similar to the GDMU, as you have to replace the disk drive. I covered this in another video, but I got a Japanese orange GameCube, and since I only have one Japanese GameCube game and my orange GameCube is not region modded, I thought I might as well just mod this with the GC loader so I can actually get some use out of it. And the orange GameCube is my favorite color GameCube, so it's awesome that I can finally have it as a part of my setup. Unfortunately, the GC loader is quite expensive, being $105. There is a cheaper clone of it called the Cube ODE, where much like the GDMU, you can find them on AliExpress and eBay. They are quite sketchy though, so that's why I went with the GC loader. There's also another way to load GameCube games for much cheaper, and I will be talking about that later. Here we have the Saru for the Sega Saturn. While technically it is a flash cart, I still think it falls under being an ODE because it is a disc-based console. Well, hey, what do I know? Anyway, this is a great one to get because Saturn games are super expensive, even more than Dreamcast and GameCube. It probably has the most infamously expensive game ever, Panzer Dragoon Saga. And now you don't have to worry about that with the Saru. You can just load it on an SD card. The Saru uses the cartridge slot of the Sega Saturn, so this is very easy to use. Most games I've thrown at it work just fine, but it isn't compatible with every game, and some games can tend to glitch out. But for the cheap prices that you can find this thing for, it's definitely worth it. Much like the GDMU, you're gonna only really be able to find this on eBay and AliExpress, so yeah, it's kind of annoying. However, there are other options for the Sega Saturn if you want a more stable ODE. There's the Satiator, which is quite expensive, but it's a very simple install. It goes back into the VCD slot of the Sega Saturn. And the Fenrir, which replaces the disk drive. It's kind of like the middle ground ODE for the Sega Saturn, so it's not quite as cheap as the Saru, but it is a lot cheaper than the Satiator, and it'll run game, like literally any game just fine. So there are plenty of options. Console modding is something you probably have all heard of. While installing an optical disc emulator into a console is still a type of console modding, but in this segment I will be talking about software modding. One of the consoles that is most well known for modding is the Wii, and its software USB Loader GX is absolutely incredible. By using a USB drive, you're able to download Wii games, GameCube games, and WiiWare games and Virtual Console games. Though I've only done this for Wii and GameCube games, but man, it is absolutely stellar. I did have some issues in the past with GameCube games not working, but ever since I got a new USB drive, it has worked flawlessly. This is a great way to play GameCube games on original hardware without breaking the bank. Now, Wii games aren't super expensive, but there's some games like Rhythm Heaven Fever that are just stupidly expensive. I wouldn't even bother getting a physical copy of that game when you can just do this. However, it is kind of a pain to set up USB Loader GX, and you can run the risk of bricking your system, but just take the proper precautions like backing up your NAND and you'll be just fine. And modding the Wii isn't that hard, so you'll probably be just fine. The 3DS is also another console known for modding, and it is great for that. Using a certain software that I will be gatekeeping in this video, but it is quite easy to find, you can get access to the library. Let's just pray to the God Almighty that those demons at Nintendo don't take it down. You can also load DS and GBA games as well, and the GBA games run natively too, since the DS can also play GBA games. You can also do a ton of other cool stuff with 3DS modding, so definitely check it out. So this is what I do to play a ton of different games without using emulation. Now, for most people, emulation will work just fine. I mean, it's probably a lot more simple to set up, if I'm being honest, and most people really don't care about that original hardware purity. But don't just shrug off flash carts, ODEs, and console modding, because there's a lot of great options for this kind of stuff. Now, a lot of the stuff I showed in this video are pretty affordable, but some of these options are quite expensive, so I get that may be a concern, but look at it this way. I talked about Panzer Dragoon Saga earlier. That game goes for like $1,000+. With a Saru or even a Satiator that's like $250. I mean, you're still in the long run, you know, getting a pretty good deal by just caving in and getting some of these flash carts and ODEs. Because would you rather pay $1,000 for Panzer Dragoon Saga or just get an ODE and you can just play literally the entire library? Anyways, I hope you consider some of these options, and definitely do your own research. There's a ton of great options. I mean, EverDrive, like I said, has a ton of different of these types of flash cards, and there's tons of other ODEs for other consoles, and you know, there's so many options. You can even burn discs if you want to, like for like the PS1. That's not the best route. I don't really recommend that, but even I've done that personally. But anyways, just play video games. I don't know. See ya.